testimony is one of following God one step at a time. So I'm going to break it down for you into various steps. We're going to skip several, though. So first off, I did not grow up in a Christian home. When I was growing up, we went to church on Christmas Eve, maybe Easter. I didn't know why they were important. I didn't know why we were going. I just knew when we got home from Christmas Eve service, there was better stuff to do. I wanted to go to church and get home. So that was basically all my time growing up until 9th grade. I took the first step and I went to youth group. I mostly went because I wanted to get to know some friends that I met on my tennis team better. And I went and I had a lot of fun. I liked the people that I met there, and I just kept going. I wanted to be on the inside of their jokes. I wanted to know what they were talking about. I wanted to know what was going on. So I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And then I took another step. I started going to church. My sister and my parents started going too. And then that led to some more steps. I started going to Sunday school, which I was really nervous. There were going to be tests, and I didn't know any of the answers, so I got nervous about that. I started going to Bible study. And then eventually went on my first mission trip to help with Hurricane Katrina relief in Mississippi. And as I reflect back, I don't recall in the midst of all those steps a precise moment when I accepted Jesus and asked him to be my Lord and my Savior. I didn't go up for an altar call. There wasn't some fancy lights show, but something happened. And throughout high school, I grew in learning about God and trusting in his plans for me. Most of my prayers throughout high school involved the words, I don't know. Sometimes they're even, God, I don't know how to pray. But the one thing I did know as I was coming up to make another big step was that I wanted to go to a college that was going to support and encourage me in my faith. And that place ended up being Houghton College. And there are many steps I could tell you about throughout those 4 years, how I ended up in Spain, Costa Rica, and Ecuador, how I learned to use track and field to honor God, how I graduated and made the choice to teach in Guatemala, and then made the choice to come back and study again in grad school. But I'm going to skip over a lot of those steps and share the ones leading up to how I came here to Phil-Mont. So back in the spring, I was finishing up my last semester at the University of Buffalo, and I was applying for a job with the study abroad program that I had participated in as a student in Spain. I was really confident about this. It was a job I was really excited about. It combined my gifts, my talents, my passions, and I just thought, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I went through the first round of interviews, second round of interviews. I made it to the final interview, and I just thought, yeah, I'm waiting for my phone call that, you got to buy your ticket. You're going to Spain. And God closed that door. And I found myself retracing my steps and starting back at the beginning of a job search process. And so I started looking at teaching jobs in New York, in North Carolina, anywhere there were schools that offered Spanish, which are a lot. Anywhere on the East Coast primarily, but I didn't have anything specific in mind. And I didn't really hear back from any of them. And so I was getting ready to take my last class in Costa Rica, which is where this photo is. And I'll skip over the steps of how I ended up doing all of that, but I was going to Costa Rica. Before I left, I received a message from a friend who I hadn't heard from in a while, a friend I'd met at Houghton. She had taken a job teaching science and health at Phil-Mont, and she told me there was an opening and encouraged me to apply. So along with a few other last-minute applications, I sent one to Phil-Mont, and I left for Costa Rica having no idea what I was doing when I got back in August. So it was kind of, here they go, here I go, maybe I'll have a job when I get home. A few weeks later, while I was still studying in my class, I interviewed over Skype from my host family's home. And a few days later, I was offered the position, and then I had some big steps to take. I accepted the job, first off, that was a big one, at a school I'd never seen before. Took this job. Then I had to figure out, where am I living? So I found an apartment, and I moved to a city that I had never been to. And I hope in explaining all these steps that I haven't misled you into thinking that I took them on my own. Each one is a testimony to God's faithfulness, his grace, and his ability to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine. Some steps have been really easy and really clear, and others have been really challenging and difficult. But each of these steps has been guided by God and are part of his sovereign plan. Thank you.